In the stillness of your darkest hour, when every step feels heavy, and the silence wraps around you like a cold, unyielding blanket, there is a quiet truth that carries you. Though the weight of your heart presses deep, and the road ahead seems uncertain, there is something sacred unfolding in the silence. Heaven is listening. God is nearer to you now than you realize, even when it feels as if he is far away. He hears the cry of the broken-hearted, and he has not turned his face from you. In moments like these, when your spirit feels crushed and your hope flickers like a distant flame, know that there is a divine presence waiting to meet you where you are. It is in this very silence, this very stillness, that God is at work in ways we often cannot see or understand. The very fact that you are still here, still breathing, still longing for something more, this is his response. You may not feel the answers coming quickly, but there is a space where your sorrow and his love meet. In this video, you will discover that even in your deepest ache, heaven responds. God's nearness is not always loud, but it is always faithful. The comfort you seek is already moving toward you, just as your heart cries out for it. In the depths of despair, there often comes a quiet stirring within, a longing, faint yet persistent. It is a desire that seems almost out of place amidst the darkness. You may feel as if you are drowning in the weight of your sorrow, as if the world has closed in on you and all your strength has been spent. And yet, even in this brokenness, there is something deep within that refuses to give up. It is not the strength of your own will, but the quiet whisper of the Holy Spirit calling you to move forward, to press on. This stirring is a sign of hope, delicate yet real. It is God's gentle reminder that he has not abandoned you. Even in your weakest moments, he is there, working within you to breathe new life into your soul. This longing to keep going, to not let go of what little hope you have left, is not your own. It is God at work within you, moving your heart toward the light, toward a future that may seem distant, but is already being woven together in his hands. Just as he responded to the Israelites in their darkest days, when they cried out in despair, he is responding to you. In their suffering, God heard them, not with judgment, but with compassion and action. He lifted them from their burdens and led them through the wilderness toward the promised land. Similarly, though you may not yet see the way out, that stirring within is the first sign that God is leading you through your own wilderness, no matter how long or difficult the journey may seem. It may feel as though your faith is fragile, barely a flicker against the storm, but even the smallest spark is enough for God to kindle into something greater. This longing within you to continue is the very proof that God is at work in you, shaping something beautiful from the ash. You are not walking this path alone. The Spirit of God is moving in ways unseen, calling you to trust in what you cannot yet see, believing in the promises that remain even when your heart feels empty. In those moments of quiet longing, where hope seems like a distant memory, remember that it is not your strength that keeps you moving forward. It is the sustaining presence of God, whispering to you in the silence, reminding you that his plans for you are still unfolding, even when you cannot see them. Your heart's desire to press on, though it may seem small or insignificant, is the very hand of God reaching out to you, drawing you toward the light that is sure to come. In the midst of sorrow, there may come a quiet urge, a pull toward prayer that feels almost unexpected. The world may feel too heavy, and words too scarce to express the depths of the heart. In those moments, the silence can feel suffocating, the weight of grief pressing down, and it may seem as though no words will ever capture the ache within. Yet even then, the simple act of turning your heart toward God can speak more than any perfect prayer ever could. There is a power in that simple, silent longing, a surrender that speaks volumes in the presence of the Lord. When the words do not come, when the heaviness of your spirit makes it seem impossible to form a prayer, it is then that the Spirit himself intercedes for you. There are times when all that is left is a quiet sigh, a tear or an unspoken plea, and in these sacred moments, God hears the deepest cries of the soul. The beauty of this is that prayer is not about eloquent phrases or even understanding. It is about a willing heart, a heart that still reaches out despite the brokenness, a heart that still desires to connect with its Creator. The Spirit understands what is beyond our grasp and carries those unspoken words to the Father with groans that transcend human language. In these moments you are not alone. Even when it feels as if the words are too difficult to find, the Spirit prays on your behalf, bringing your needs before God with perfect understanding. When the heart is too weary to even know what to ask for, it is the Spirit who intercedes, offering the prayers that you cannot find in the silence. It is in this deep communion with God that the soul finds peace, even when no answer is immediately seen. There is no need for perfection in your prayers, no need to have all the right words. It is not the eloquence of your speech that moves heaven, but the sincerity of your heart. In those quiet moments when it feels as though your voice is lost in the noise of the world, God is listening. The Spirit is present, translating your pain, your sorrow, and your hopes into a prayer more perfect than any words you could speak. And in that sacred space a divine exchange takes place. Your brokenness meets His healing. Your silence meets His response. The very act of turning toward Him, in whatever form that prayer takes, becomes a bridge between your heart and His. In the deepest shadows, when pain overwhelms and the weight of sorrow is almost too much to bear, there may be a quiet lie that tries to settle in. You are alone. The silence around you feels like a void, and the isolation of your heart grows heavy. It may feel as though no one sees you, no one hears you, and no one can understand the depth of what you are going through. The longing for comfort seems unreachable, and the quiet whispers of abandonment may threaten to drown out every other thought. But in those very moments, there is a promise that holds steady, a promise that never wavers, no matter how dark the night may become. I will never leave you nor forsake you. This isn't just a phrase meant to offer fleeting comfort. It is a deep, sacred truth that echoes through the ages, standing firm even when everything else feels uncertain. God's presence is not contingent on our feelings or our circumstances. His promise is not broken by our doubts or our pain. He is with us, always. Even when the silence feels unbearable, it is not a sign of absence. In truth, it is often in these quiet spaces that God is working most deeply within us. The absence we feel is not His distance, but the profound, mysterious work of shaping our hearts. It is in the silence that He refines us, teaching us to trust Him even when we cannot see Him. The feelings of isolation are not the end of the story. They are part of the journey. He is not absent. He is forming a deeper faith in us, a trust that stands even when the path ahead is unclear. You are never forgotten, not for a single moment. God's eyes are always upon you, His heart always near. Even in the moments when you feel your prayers are unheard, when you feel the weight of loneliness pressing in, God is doing a work that is beyond our comprehension. His love never leaves you. His grace never departs. His presence, though unseen, is as real as the air you breathe. And in the stillness He is present, guiding you, strengthening you, holding you even when you cannot feel His touch. The darkness may obscure your vision, but it can never separate you from His love. His promise to be with you is unshakable, and in that truth your heart can find rest. Trust is not always easy, especially when the path ahead is veiled in pain and uncertainty. When the heart is burdened, the mind seeks answers, yet the answers seem distant, just out of reach. The struggle to know why, to understand the purpose behind the suffering, can weigh heavily on the spirit. In those moments it feels as if trust is a choice we cannot make. The desire to control, to grasp at any semblance of certainty, pulls us in every direction, and the peace we long for feels like a distant memory. Yet in the midst of this internal struggle, there is a quiet, gentle invitation from God, an invitation to trust Him with what we cannot see, to surrender the need for answers, and embrace His presence in the unknown. This is not a blind trust, but a trust rooted in a deep knowing that He is faithful, even when the way seems unclear. Proverbs 3:5-6 speaks to this invitation, calling us to trust in the Lord with all our hearts, and to lean not on our own understanding. The wisdom of this truth is simple, yet profound. It tells us that peace does not come from understanding every detail or having every question answered, but from surrendering to the one who holds all things in his hand. Trust in its purest form is not a refusal to question or a denial of pain. It is the willingness to hold on to God, even when everything around us feels uncertain. It is a choice to rest in his love, to lean into his presence, and to believe that he is good even when we do not see how. This kind of trust is the quiet strength that holds us steady when the storms rage. It is the peace that comes not from knowing the end of the story, but from knowing that he holds the pen and will never leave us. In the surrender of understanding, your heart begins to find peace. It is not a peace that explains everything, but a peace that rests in the truth of who God is. He is good, he is faithful, and he is with you even in the unknown. Trusting him with the unknown does not mean abandoning hope. It means embracing the certainty that he is already at work, even when you cannot see the outcome. This is where the soul finds rest, when the burden of needing to understand is released, and the heart is free to trust in the one who is always enough. In the quiet stillness when everything feels uncertain, and the weight of sorrow seems unrelenting, something begins to shift deep within. It is not a dramatic change, nor is it a sudden burst of clarity. It is a subtle stirring, a gentle rise of faith, like a flicker of light in the darkness. This shift does not come because of any change in your circumstances, but because of something far deeper, the unshakable nature of God. Even in the shadows, when everything seems to be clouded in doubt and fear, he remains faithful. His faithfulness is not dependent on how the world spins around us, or on the ease of our journey. It is constant, unchanging, and always present, whether we see it or not. It is in this quiet assurance that your faith begins to rise. The circumstances may not change in that moment, but something in your heart begins to trust anyway. You begin to speak your heart to God, and as you do, you feel the stirrings of a faith that has nothing to do with the world around you. This is the point where heaven begins to respond, not because of your strength, but because of your willingness to open your heart to believe. Even when everything within and around you tells you to give up, to turn away, you choose to trust. It is not the strength of your belief that matters in this moment, but the honesty of your heart. God does not ask for perfect faith, but a willing heart that dares to trust in the midst of doubt. In that act of surrender, faith rises not because of what you see, but because of the promises of God that never fail. As you pour out your heart to him, something within you shifts. There is a quiet comfort in knowing that his promises hold, even when you cannot see them. The weight you have carried begins to feel a little lighter, not because the burden has disappeared, but because you have allowed yourself to trust in the one who is faithful, to carry it with you. In this moment you are no longer fighting alone. Faith, however small, begins to fill the empty spaces, and in that space God's response comes, not with a loud answer, but with a quiet assurance that he is there. In the stillness the shift is made, and heaven draws near. It is not in the absence of fear that faith rises, but in the midst of it, when you choose to believe despite everything else telling you not to. And in that moment God is faithful, holding you steady. Waiting often feels like a long, weary road, stretching out endlessly in front of you. When pain fills every moment and hope feels distant, time seems to slow, dragging with it the weight of unanswered prayers and unspoken fears. Each day feels like an eternity, and in the quiet moments, it may feel as though God is far away, silent in the face of your suffering. The weight becomes a burden, each second heavy with the ache of longing for relief. But in that waiting, God is teaching you something profound about his love. His love is not distant or far off. It does not depend on the speed with which he answers, or the clarity with which he speaks. His love meets you exactly where you are, in the waiting, in the silence, in the moments when you feel most fragile and vulnerable. It is in these moments that his love reaches the deepest, touching you in ways that the answers themselves cannot. Even when it seems as though heaven is silent, God is drawing near, holding you in his care. In the waiting, God is not absent. His presence is a quiet, steady companion, carrying you through the hardest days. His love does not require immediate resolution to your pain. Instead, it is a love that walks with you through the unknown, offering comfort, not by fixing everything, but by remaining beside you.
It is a love that sustains, that nurtures, that holds you even when you cannot feel his touch. It reminds you in the stillness that he is with you, even when prayers seem unanswered. His love is the answer, the constant, unchanging reminder that you are never alone. This is the beauty of God's love. It is present in the waiting. It does not leave when the answers are delayed, nor does it fade in the absence of understanding. It remains steady and faithful, drawing you close when the world feels distant and cold. In the waiting, his love is not idle. It is active, working in you, teaching you to lean into the comfort of his embrace. Though you may not always feel it, his love is there holding you close, reminding you that his timing is perfect, and his plans are good. Even in the silence, his love is speaking quietly, faithfully, carrying you through until the day when the waiting ends. When you cry out in your darkest hour, know that heaven has already heard. Even before the words leave your lips, God is aware. In the depth of your pain, he is already at work, moving in ways you may not yet see. The response may not come as quickly as you hope, nor in the way you expect, but it is already set in motion. The moment you reach out, even in the faintest whisper, heaven is attentive, and God's heart is inclined toward you. The very fact that you are still crying out, still longing for his presence, is evidence that he is already responding. God's response is not always immediate or in the form we envision, but it is always wrapped in his presence. His presence is the answer, the quiet yet powerful response that meets us when nothing else can. It is his peace, his strength, his unshakable comfort that carries us through the hardest of moments. Even when the situation does not change, his presence fills the spaces left empty by unanswered prayers, and in that space, his grace is more than enough. In the stillness, he is there, surrounding you with a peace that goes beyond understanding, a peace that holds you steady when the world seems to be falling apart. In time, you will see that everything you have endured was not in vain. Every moment of suffering, every tear shed, every unanswered prayer will become part of the path that leads you closer to him. It may seem difficult to see the purpose in the waiting or the pain in the moment, but God is using every experience to bring you to a deeper, more intimate place with him. As you journey through the darkness, his love is drawing you nearer, preparing you for a richer understanding of his heart. His response is not always seen in the way we expect, but it is always seen in the way we need. It is not always the resolution we seek, but it is always his nearness, his faithfulness, and his strength that make all the difference. When the road feels long and the answers seem far away, hold on to this truth. Heaven's response is already here, and it is enough. God's presence is the answer, and in that presence, everything you have endured will find its place in his perfect plan. As you walk through the moments of waiting, suffering, and longing, know this: heaven is nearer than you think. God is present, working in ways that are often unseen, drawing you closer to himself in the quiet spaces of your soul. His peace is already with you, and his love surrounds you, even in the moments when it feels as though the world is silent. Trust that every step you take, every tear you shed, is part of a greater story being written by a loving, faithful God. As you reflect on this journey, hold on to the truth that heaven has already heard your cry, and that his response is the presence of his peace, his strength, and his love. You are never alone. His faithfulness will see you through, and in time you will understand how he has led you into a deeper, more intimate walk with him. If this message has touched your heart, we invite you to join us again in this space of reflection and peace. You can show your support by liking this video and subscribing to our channel, allowing us to continue sharing these words of comfort and hope with you. May you walk in his peace today and always.